Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for another Street Fighter Duel video. So in today's video we are going to be going over a priority list, at least my opinion, of which units you should be looking at investing your soul power into. Who should be your first picks, who should then be the units you look at going forward. Now, with everything, take this with a pinch of salt, it's my opinion, your opinion might differ from mine, that's fine, everyone's entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day, and in this just going to give you some pointers for who I think is the best units for you to put your investment into. We've had 4 new units added to, well, is it 4 or 5? 1, 2, 3, I think it's 5 actually. We've had 5 new units added to the pool of who you can invest your soul power into, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at who I think you'd be best served giving your materials to. So without any further ado, let's make this nice and easy and quick, and we will start with the units who, if you decided to go with these guys first, you would not be putting a foot wrong. So, straight up, we've got our boy, Ken. Monster Hunter Ken. If you're lucky enough to get yourself this guy, and you've got him with enough levels, then Monster Hunter Ken is someone who I absolutely think it is worth your while putting investment into. He is going to get a massive boost from his raw stats, okay? Now, with a lot of these things, even though you do get boosts on their secondary skills, right? Or on their skills, I'll show you some of those boosts in just a second. The main thing for me that kind of makes this system so good, really, is what it does to your actual power, right? So let's have a look here. So with soul power, he's getting additional damage on his skill, he's getting additional damage, a 20% chance of doing 4.5% additional damage, and this one is PvP based. We're not going to talk about that because it's so far away, but the main draw for me is all of this stuff. It's the getting so much more attack, so much more crit damage. That for me is the biggest boost from this system. These things at the bottom, while they can be nice, I honestly, from using units, I found that the biggest gain that I've enjoyed and seen comes from the actual boost to stats, okay? So you may see me favouring some units based on that. If that's the case and you disagree, then that's fine, that's absolutely fine, but I think you get more bang for your buck for these units, and you don't have to worry about things like having a percentage chance of getting more damage and all that kind of stuff. You're just getting it from the raw power that comes from them having these additional stats to begin with. So let's keep going. Next up, we're going to look at another one I see as a no-brainer. If you've got him, Virgo. Not going to focus too much on the why. I've pretty much just told you the why. He gets unbelievable additional damage. I mean, he just does so much more once he is up to having decent amount of soul investment into him. He's just going to hit harder. He's got the bonus of making his skills a little bit better as well. I mean, if we just look here, you can see that gets demon energy quicker. Here you can see does a lot more damage. It's not percentage based and it's not like luck based like Ken's was, but even just from looking at his raw stats, the guy becomes a monster, right? And that is what we are looking at here when we're doing this. We are looking at how are they going to be? Are they going to become monsters? Are they going to just get new bonuses? What's it going to be? For me, like I say, if they've got good stat boosts, that's enough for me to say you should invest in them first, right? So I'm just going to throw the next 3 on here because they don't really require much explanation. If you decided to go with these guys first, then go for it. So these are all units I would class as top priority. And again, most of them are pretty much no-brainers for much the same reasons I've said before. The only one I'm going to talk a little bit more about is going to be Goldkin, who I would also put up here. But if you look at Bison, some people were a little bit underwhelmed by Bison. They don't think he does that much more with his soul power because it just increases damage here. It increases damage here. It increases the base chance to inflict delusion. But again, that's not why we're concerned with this. As you level this guy up, he's going to boost his crit rate massively, he's going to boost his damage bonus massively. All these are things that are just going to make M. Bison absolutely pop off, and it's what you want. Like, when it comes to having this guy in your party, him doing huge damage, that's what you want at the end of the day. So having him boosted is absolutely going to serve you well, and I fully wholeheartedly recommend doing it if you can. Goldkin, on the other hand, if we go and look at him, who I think I've got somewhere down here. If I look at Master, that'll be faster. Master, faster. So with Goldkin, you can see here that he gets his damage boosted by 70% if Void Power is active. Damage increases to 713% of attack, which is good considering you don't really view this guy as an attacking unit, but he's going to get those boosts anyway. And he has got the bonuses of having lots of different boosts to his stats, like his defense and things like that, making him a unit that will absolutely benefit from this system, because he's going to have that additional survivability in his kit, as well as actually being able to dish out a little bit more damage, making him, in my opinion at least, a very, very solid unit. Okay, now at this point I would class, personally myself, I would class Bison as a kind of free to play option at this point. Okay, from here on out, we're going to be talking about units who I would probably say that you could still argue that they are top priority depending on your account, but if you have any of these units, I would put these units before the next set of units. Okay, so if we call these the do straight away units that are at the top of this list, then the next set of units I'm going to talk about are going to be, maybe you don't have to do it right away. Okay, if that hopefully makes sense. Now, first up, a unit a lot of you might not have, especially not at the required level, I'd say Dante. The reason I'd say Dante is because I feel like Dante's a unit a lot of people have to force themselves to use just to justify the fact that they actually summon for him. Would you put investment into him before some of these other units? I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to put him down a wee bit. It does improve him quite a bit, but I still don't necessarily think you would run Dante before you would run some of these other units. Okay, now this next unit is one that I definitely think you will run, and she does greatly benefit because of the amount of additional damage that she does, and that would be Viper. I just don't know if I could recommend doing Viper before the units above on this list, assuming you have them. If you don't have them and you want to see much better damage from a unit, then sure, by all means do Viper, because she will do a hell of a lot more damage when she's boosted. Just, would I do Viper before I would do someone like Bison? That sounds really wrong, but you know what I mean, right? So Viper is one that I would say would be near the top, but if you have the units up top like Bison, I would probably invest in him first. Okay. A unit that gets used in a lot of content that I think would greatly benefit is Chun-Li. Chun-Li is someone I feel quite comfortable putting up here because she is going to be doing more damage with her skills, but not only that, she is also going to have the ability to crit more, because one of the things that her boosts do is increase her crit rate, and obviously, as you guys know, if she's got increased crit rate, she's going to do more damage overall, right? So, well, not more damage, sorry, but she's going to do more damage, sure. She's also going to trigger more super attacks because of how her kit works. So boosting her is definitely worth it in my opinion. So while again, I wouldn't necessarily put her before anyone above her on the list at the top line, I would definitely say that she is someone that you could look at putting your investment into fairly early on. The last one that I feel comfortable putting in here, and you'll notice that there's a heavy bias towards DPS, but there's not only a bias towards DPS, there's a bias towards DPS that you might already find yourself using, right? And that is Jury. Now, since Jury got fixed, Jury is a much better unit to use, and she can dish out some good damage. So she is someone who, if you've got the currency lying about and you wanted to, she would definitely be worth doing. Would I do her before I would do See, when I'm saying would I do her and then I talk about two females, it just sounds like I'm going in a completely different direction with this video. But would I do her before I would do Chun-Li or before I would do C Viper? Probably, but in gaming terms, no. I'm not saying I've got a thing about feet, I'm just saying, right? But she definitely gets a good boost from putting the soul power into her. Again, a lot of my favouritism in this system comes towards stats. Just How much harder, how much better is it going to make the unit hit? I'm actually less concerned about what it does to the skill itself. I'm just looking at the raw numbers of being able to pump out more damage, right? So for me, actually, they're the only ones that go in there as a no-brainer, right? Even though I said I've got a preference towards DPS units, people might think, well, why are you not saying do Evil Ryu? Mad Ryu. The reason why I'm not, like, totally comfortable just throwing him in here is because, honestly, I think he deserves to kind of go just that little bit lower. And the reason I say that is more or less because no one late game really uses Evil Ryu. And even with this boost, would you use Evil Ryu before any of the units above him if you have them? Then I think the answer is no. So for that reason, I think he has to fall a bit lower down the totem pole with regards to who you would put investment into first. But again, that really is just my own personal preference and opinion. Another unit who maybe actually could be the only one so far that I think I would put into the kind of second tier that's not a DPS unit would actually be this boy here, Honda. And the reason I'd put Honda in there is because one of the things that the stat boosts are going to bring to him is survivability. And obviously in a system like this, if you're going to have higher defense and you're a tank, then that's obviously going to benefit you greatly. You know, it is going to actually benefit you greatly. If we actually look specifically at the system for him, now I've obviously not done it to him yet, right? But if we look at what else it does, inflicting stun upon the target reduces their defense by 60. I think it's 40 or something now, 40 or 50. Bullet wall can block 10 ranged attacks, so it increases the amount of attacks. So it really does improve him as a shield. Would I necessarily do a shield before I would do a DPS? Personally, no, and that is just simply because I do have a little bit of a bias towards DPS units. Now on the bottom of the totem pole, along with Ryu, if I'm being completely honest here, again, totally my opinion, you are free to disagree at your own leisure. It is entirely your own call. I pretty much will be filling this bottom slot out with the rest of the units, the support units, and that is mainly just because, for me at least anyway, this unit here essentially sits on my team passively doing stuff. So would I really want to boost her before boosting anyone else? No. The argument could be made, however, because her healing is scaled off her HP, it could be worth it, and you might be right, but would I do her as a priority before anyone else? No. And this is what this is. This isn't a I'm never going to do these units. It's more I would like to think I'll focus on these units, then these units, then these units. So that's why I would put her at the bottom list of priority. Same thing goes for Poison. To be honest, Poison literally is on my teams to do her C1. Her C1 is still going to be absolutely fantastic without having the soul boost, so I'm quite comfortable putting her on there. Same thing goes for Rose. Rose is a unit that sits on my teams passively, pretty much doing nothing apart from providing little boosts from her tarot cards. The only thing that she gets from her boosts here are marginal upgrades to them. The rest of her stats, okay, they'll improve survivability, but I find myself using Rose more often now in the support slot than anything else. So for that reason, she does go right to the bottom of the totem pole for me. So I feel like I might have missed someone out because they've done a Wind, a Thunder. They must have done a new Flame unit, but I'm struggling to remember who it was. I can't off the top of my head actually think who would be the new Flame unit that would have been added to the Soul Power pool. Let me just really quickly check to see if I'm just being absolutely blind here and missing it. But it's not you, 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 it's not you. Hugo. Hugo, right, okay, Hugo. Double check to see what he does. Gain free potato. Cover 9 of you stack a potato. I mean, I guess Hugo is pretty much the same idea as Honda, but does he get as much use as Honda? Honda gets use. Part of the reason why I'm putting Honda in the second tier is because Honda is already widely used as a shield. He deflects range attacks and stuff like that. I don't think Hugo has the same usability as Honda, So for that reason, personally, I'm actually comfortable in saying that I could put Hugo down at the very bottom on his own, because I just feel like you would have to be fighting for a reason to use this unit. Like, why would you want to put your soul power, your precious resource, why would you want to put it into Hugo? I mean, maybe I'm showing an anti-Hugo agenda there. I'm not entirely sure if that's what you would call it, but I just don't really see anyone using that guy, apart from the CPU, where he can be a pain in the ass. So would I recommend doing Hugo? No, I definitely wouldn't. So for that reason, we're just going to put Hugo at the very bottom of the totem pole. So if you look at that list as being separated by that big line, we'll say top priority, high priority, mid to low priority. That is how I personally would rank the units so far when we're talking about how you would invest your soul power. You guys can let me know if you agree or you disagree. As always, opinions are subjective. Everyone's got one. Some of them stink, mine quite often do. But you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know who you've already invested in. Let me know who you plan to invest in. I've been Hayzink, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.